Forever I'll live, forever I'll try. Forever I'll run, forever I'll die. Forever this heart, forever my soul. Forever I'll be, forever unknown. Days and nights, skin and bone. Forever this town, forever my car. Forever this night, forever these stars. Forever I live, forever unknown. Forever in love, forever a ghost. Days and nights, skin and bone. I'm still here, but you moved on. Forever falls in love with the guy that wears sweater vests. She used to be mine, but now it's like we never met. Forever leaves fast in the middle of the night. Forever breaks my heart and never says goodbye. Days and nights, skin and bone. I'm still here, but you moved on. I live inside an old photograph. I wish that I could feel your love again. So I live inside that old photograph. And I wish that I could feel your love again. Forever falls in love with the guy that wears sweater vests. She used to be mine, but now it's like we never met. Forever leaves fast in the middle of the night. Forever breaks my heart and never says goodbye.
Hello there, hello there, hello there. It's the East Ayrshire broadcast of Corporation Gothic Civilization. I was just sitting 5 seconds ago thinking I'm not going to do that tonight, and then it just spilled out of me. Couldn't help myself. Okay, there we are. So we had no Dave Cullen in tonight to sing the lyrics of Sweater Vest there. He must be working tonight. He'll probably pop in later on, maybe at the last 15 minutes to go, who knows. Okay, so no agenda tonight whatsoever. I think I'm just going to address or speak about the title of, well, not the title, but tonight's topic as was shown on the thumbnail. And looking at the pre-show chat, Peter had a wee commenting frenzy. So I think I'll go through his comments. It says, Peter said, I just saw your ad for the broadcast. I'll switch on the notification button and let's see what happens. Right, I don't know if he got it or not. In regards to tonight's topic, I would say 1, check the inventory. 2, download updates. 3, make sure you can fly. 4, recharge batteries. 5, put everything in your bag before. 6, check the weather. 7, make sure emergency calls your phone. 8, check clothes. 9, food and drink. 10, tell somebody where you're going. Right, thanks a lot, Peter, and I'll see you here same time next Sunday. Peter, I disagree with half of your points, and I'm going to explain why. But I do think that I may have mistitled tonight's topic, and I maybe should have said how I prepare to go fly a drone. So that's what I'm going to speak about tonight. I'm going to speak about how I do it. I don't see any chat coming up here. I'm wondering if I have actually gone live. I'm pretty sure I have. I'm not pretty sure I have. I'm half sure I have. If I'm not live, I'm sure people would be saying, where is he? Why are we still waiting? So I must be live. Right, so Peter mentioned a few of the things that I do when I'm going to go out and make a flight. But he mentioned a lot of things that I don't do, and I think there's no need to do. So I might thanks, Stevie. So I might bring them up as I go through this topic and explain how I do it. Surly Dev, don't say things like that. You'll make me paranoid, and I won't know if there's anybody here or not. Right. What was I going to say there? See, I get thrown off by my own daft brain. Oh, here's what I was going to say. Talking about a daft brain, I think a lot of the viewers who watch my channel, the Windswept Rob channel, are kind of roughly the same age as myself, maybe 10 years younger, 10 years older. I think there's like a 20 years gap. That's quite big, actually. But I found myself the other day watching it was series 1, episode 3 of the Scottish Coastline videos, and I watched it on my big TV because I watch it on my screen, I watch it on my phone, I watch it on my TV, so that I can make sure that I'm not clipping any of it. There's none of it being cut out, and my editing is works okay on them. And I found myself sitting watching it on the television, and at the end of it, I had to go back and watch the first 10 seconds again because I forgot to do that on my own video. So just in case you have forgotten to do that on this live stream, can you do it now? Thank you. And if you do it, I should give you some of these. Is that going to work this week? Maybe if I move the mic out the way. That should work. There we go. You get some of those if you hit that thumbs up. Okay. Surly Dev says, I started watching episode 3 and then went back to watching episode 1. That's good. I'm liking that. And I think, to be honest with you, that was kind of designed. I've decided to turn this, because it's such a huge project, I've decided to turn it into seasons, rather than just do a year, every week post a video out a year. I'm going to do it seasonally, so there'll be 10 episodes per season, and then there'll be a 3 or 4 week season break where I will do my preparation for the next season. And then season 2 will start. And I've got good start points and end points for each season. I've already baked, the first 4 seasons, and that's as far as I'm going to go at the moment. So I think I did that intentionally because I thought to myself, when people watch episode 4, for example, which I'm going out next week to film, they might say, well, I'm going to just watch 1, 2 and 3 again to catch me up. And then when people start to watch, just before they start to watch season 2, they may rewatch the entire 10 episodes of season 1, which is always good for me, So that's the plan. Oh, Stevie, I forgot. I bet you they're still defaulted to. Oh, the ads are on. The ads are on. Can I turn it off? I can click that delay ads. Let's see what happens. I'm worried that if it stops the stream, I'll start it again. But hopefully it doesn't. Delay ads. I've clicked it now. Right. It's given me a 10-minute countdown, so it means there won't be ads for 10 minutes. Oh, so I forgot to check that. I'm going to have to make a note of that, so I'll pin it on my screen, turn the ads off, because it now, as I said last week, it's seemingly now the default is ads on, and you have to go and turn them off, whereas previously the default was ads off, and if you wanted ads you had to turn it on. Damn it. Okay, I'm sorry for anyone who's going to get adverts. I apologise. You know, it was my fault, my mistake. I forgot to turn them off. Anyway, okay. Hello, Lynn. How you doing? And right, okay, right. You're giving us a running commentary on season 1, episode 1. I think, I don't really know. Eddie, how you doing? Good to see you in the chat here. Martin, Stevie, Graham, Odo, and I'm just quickly shouting names out here because Mickey, I think that's it. Aye, that'll do. Airplane Spotter, hello, how you doing? Right, I've run through the names and I want to get started on this, right? Because like the time disappears. It's 7:10 already. I've only got 50 minutes left, and I thought this would be interesting and maybe even educational for some of you who want to do the right thing when you go out and fly your drone, and you're maybe either not sure if you are doing all the right things, or you don't know what all the right things are. So I am going to show you on the screen and talk you through what I do for every single flight. Every time I go out to do a flight, this is what I do. And I'm going to use, for example, season 1, episode 4 of my series, which I haven't filmed yet. I'm going out this coming week to film it, right? And here's how I do the prep, okay? Are we all on board with that? Yes, I think we are. Where's the bubble? I discovered why it does that, and why I get fireworks sometimes when I do 2 thumbs. Not always. There you go. It's nothing to do with my OBS studio or YouTube. It's the iPhone. It has these things built in, and they are turned on in my phone. So no matter whether I'm using OBS to live stream or whether I'm doing a FaceTime call, if I do something like that properly, then hearts will come up and thumbs and things. Anyway, I'm waffling here. Right, so I'm going out to film tomorrow, and I know where I'm going roughly. Right, I've got a rough idea of where I'm going. So the first thing that I do is, and I'm going to switch the screen over here, and hopefully you can still hear me. You could last week, so you should be able to hear me this week. Right, so you should. Oh, good God! It's right. Hold on, just give me 1 second. It sometimes does this. Sometimes it does this, and then you just have to kind of reboot it when it does that. It's not that one I want, it is that one there. Right, that's it. Okay, so the first thing that I do, obviously, I know where I'm going, so I'll bring up either Google Earth or Google Maps. They're both pretty much the same. Surly Dev, I will do my very best, okay? So what I do, I know where I'm going roughly, right? And roughly, I'm going to go roughly to Rockcliffe, the Rockcliffe area, because that's where I finished last week. That is where the flight ended. The flight actually ended flying back to Castle Point. But here's something that you might not know, okay? And I'll just show you. I have actually already filmed the footage of the first part of the season 4, episode 4's flight, okay? And it's going to be across here, from Castle Point across to Almerness Point, going up Horse Isles Bay, Almarez Point, and then over this island here, possibly, I don't know, which is Heston Island. Okay, now I've already done half of that flight because while I was there, I did it, and the reason that I do that is because this is a wee trick that the members of the channel know about, because I told them in a members video. There's only 20 people. That's a lot. There's only 20 people in tonight, so I'll tell you as well. A little trick that I do is it seems like it's one continuous flight that I do, but that's editing magic. It's not. I actually change my location at least twice, sometimes 3 or 4 times per flight, and I do that so that I can keep visual line of sight of the drone. Now with the Wallace, I can see him clearly 2.5 kilometres away, no problem whatsoever. But if I'm going to be flying further than that, I will change my location so that he's always in visual line of sight. But I'll edit the end footage. What I do is, as I'm flying and I decide where I'm going to make my change of location, I find a point, I look at my height, I find an exact point on the screen that just disappears at the bottom of the screen, and then I know that's exactly where to pick it up. So then I'll fly him back, I'll move my location, I'll fly him out to that point, turn him round and pick it up there. And it looks like one flight. If you look carefully, you'll see there's a wee, it's not a jump, because I normally put in a flow transition or a smooth transition, but you can see, I can never get it spot on. It's always a metre or two either side. He's always at the same height though. So you can, if you look carefully, you can see the transitions. Sometimes I'll mask it by doing a cut to me fly with the controller, and when it cuts back, it's not the same flight. It's the same flight, but I have moved my location. Okay, I think I explained that. So I repeated myself so many times there that I think you got it about 3 or 4 minutes ago. But anyway, so I am going to, right, so this is roughly the area that I'm going to, right? So what I'll do then is I will recce the roads and find the best place for me to drive to. Where is the best place I can drive to then allow me to walk to where the best point is? And I don't know yet. I haven't had a good, well, I do actually, but I'm not telling you because I don't want any nutcases turning up. So I know where I'm going here. It's somewhere in this area, and I know where I'm going. I know where I'm parking, and I know where I'm walking to. Okay, so that's what I do. The other thing you can do is you can also, I don't know if you know this, but on Google Maps you can measure the distance from a point to a point, right? So there's 1.5 kilometres from there to there, okay? And from there to there is 2 kilometres, okay? So you can do that with Google Maps so that you can, if you want to, it's entirely up to you obviously, but if you want to make sure that you're keeping visual line of sight of your drone, you can plan ahead of times, knowing what is the distance the drone's going to be flying there. 2 kilometres. I know that I can see the Wallace 2.5 kilometres. I've tested it. I can see them further than that if I put strobes on, but I don't always have the strobes on. If it's a flight that's 2.5 kilometres maximum, but I usually don't put the strobes on because I can see them fine. If it's going to go beyond that, I'll usually put the strobes on. So that's the first thing that you do. Well, that's the first thing that I do is Google Maps, right? Check the location, check where I'm going, check the roads, and check everything about where I want to go. Okay. And the second thing, once I've done that, I will then, as Peter said, one of the things to do is to check the weather. Okay. So, checking the weather for next week. Monday's looking good. Tuesday's looking good. Wednesday's looking good because we don't mind a bit of rain, okay? And you can go in and get full, proper detail breakdown so that you even know when during the day to go, right? How much rain there's going to be. Well, Wednesday's not looking so good, actually. We've got 90% chance of rain, 80% chance of rain. So Wednesday looks out. Thursday's no bad, 50% chance down to 30%, 20%. So that's okay. It's a good day too. Right, so that's the next thing you'll do, because you want to know really what your wind speed is going to be, depending on what type of drone it is. Whether if it's a mini drone, obviously the wind speed is really important. With the Wallace being a Mavic 3, the wind doesn't really matter. He can fly in a storm, and here he is right here. Okay. Because one of the other things that you need to do, and I didn't mention this because it's obvious, but it's to do the physical checks. Things like checking that your blades are all good condition. Not just good condition, but if you're going on a flight like mine over water, you want to make sure the blades are in excellent condition. So you can do your physical checks with your blades, okay? And check the arms or legs, whatever you want to call them. Check that you don't have a battery that looks like this. All right, the last thing you want to do is turn up at your location and have that happening. And if you've got 3 batteries and they're all doing that, you're going to be devastated. Okay. And the other thing I always do is I make sure that I have a fresh, my fingers are in the way, but in there is the SD card, and I make sure that I've got a fresh SD card in there. Not a fresh card, buy a new card, but one that has just been reformatted. And there, that is the actual mount, the MacGyvered mount for my Insta 360 that I made myself. All right, high tech masking tape, and that's it there. The Insta 360 goes on there. Right, so those are the physical checks that you should, everyone should know you should do, right? That's not what I was really going to be talking about tonight. It's about how to, what other things that you need to do apart from the physical checks. One thing that I'll go back and Peter said in one of his points that I completely disagree with, and I'm going to highlight it and explain why. I disagreed with half of them, Peter, but here's one that I want to highlight. Where is it? I can't. It's not that one there. Yeah, there you go. Right. Oh, so Peter's second point: download the updates days before your trip. My opinion and my advice to you is don't download updates ever, unless the drone starts to malfunction and you've noticed that it's not working properly. There's something not right with it. Then download the updates. If your drone is doing everything that you need it to do, don't download any updates, because you're risking corrupting it, because we all know that the updates are really dodgy. And although Peter says here download the updates days before your trip, that doesn't matter. You can download the updates, everything can look fine. You can go out there and suddenly it's glitch. And especially if you're flying over water, the drone can end up in the drink. So my opinion is, now it may or may not be contravening some of the regulations to fly with a drone that isn't fully up to date, but I don't care. I want to fly with a drone that's safe. If you're going to do an update and it's potentially going to make that drone unsafe because they are buggy and glitchy when they're first, when the updates are made at first, then it's making that flight less safe. And I'm just not willing to do that. And if the CAA want to take me to court over that, I'll go and state my case. I want to fly safely, and that's all I'll have to say about that. Okay, right. So in my opinion, my advice: do not update your drone unless your drone is not functioning. The other time you could update, I suppose, is if your drone manufacturer brings out an update that you don't actually have on your drone, and you really need it. You've always needed it. You've managed without it, but it's been detrimental to your footage or enjoyment or pleasure. Then, okay, do that, download. But most firmware updates are not that. They don't introduce anything that is like, I can't live without this. If you've been flying your drone perfectly happily and it does everything that you want it to do, then an update then the next update isn't going to add anything to that. It's not going to change. Your drone does everything you want it to do. I'm waffling now, and it's almost halfway through the show. Good grief! Right, so you've checked your Google Maps. You know where you're going. You've measured your distances. You've found somewhere to park. You've found a walking place. Right, so that's all good. You've checked the weather. Okay, you found a day that's going to be good. The next thing you need to do is check a couple of sites I use. I use this site here. Right, this is dronescene.co.uk. Right, DroneScene will give you all of the permanent no-fly zones, and I've already zoomed into the area that I'll be flying, and you can see here that there's a red something here. What is this? That's not so good. What is it? You can click on it, and it will bring it up and tell you what it is here. Right. Red zones are regulated high-risk areas, and the operator of your drone may be hazardous prohibited. But it's telling you that it's an intermittent airspace, right? Temporarily activated, typically via a NOTAM or predefined schedule. So the other site that I always check is NOTAM. Okay, this is the best one in my opinion. So you can either type in where you want to go, or you can just zoom in. And if we see here where I'm flying, which is this area here, there is a flight restriction very, very close to it. Okay? It's from the 24th of November, which is tomorrow, at 8 in the morning to 24th of November at 3 in the afternoon. So tomorrow from 8 to 3, there is a restriction very, very close to where I want to fly. Okay, but if we look at Tuesday, that's on Monday, that's tomorrow. If we look at Tuesday, boom, it's gone. It's not there on Tuesday. What about Wednesday? Nothing. Thursday? No. Friday? Something else popped up here on Friday. It's not near where I'm flying, but there is something else. So, and it's telling me exactly what it is. Okay, so this is a great site to use. You can pick the particular day you want to fly, and there you go. I know that. Well, Monday's still okay because I won't be flying into this area. I'll only be flying as far as this area here. All right? I wouldn't be flying any further than that. So at least tomorrow, if I want to go out tomorrow, I'm safe. Right? So that is the other site that I recommend that you use. The two of them actually. That one will give you a permanent ones, but and that's a pretty good one. Okay, it gives you a good overview that you can, if you've got 2 or 3 or 5 different areas that you might want to go to, this gives you a good overview to start off, and then you can go into Notam if you like and have a good old look at it. I often just use Notam. It's perfect for what I want when I know exactly when I want to go out and fly, depending on the weather, of course. But you can use you can use the weather. You can use the weather and your Google Maps routes and the Notam notification to decide which day of the week you're going to go. Okay, so always check those, because if you don't check Notam, for example, right? Let's say it's next week and I'm going out to do episode 5, season 5, episode 5. Episode 4 is going to end here. Episode 5 is probably going to enter this area here, probably go along the coast here. So I will then work with the weather, right? Where was the weather? I'm coming to that next. Well, right, whatever the weather was there, it's there. I'll work with the weather, right? Picking a good day to fly and a day where there isn't a restriction. Okay, hope that made sense. I think it did. It's almost teaching you to suck eggs, but there may be some drone operators watching that kind of knew that this was what you really need to do, but didn't know how to actually go about it, and didn't know how. Maybe knew about it in theory, but didn't know how to practically use it. And I'm showing you how to practically use it. There's another thing you need to do, and it's this. If I can bring it up, that one here. A risk assessment. Okay. A personal remote pilot risk assessment form, right? This is if you're flying a drone under Article 16, which I do. Okay, you put your name in, the date that you've made the risk assessment. I am FPV UK, so I put my FPV UK number. But if you're with another company, put it in there. These are things that I like to do. Flying site name, I just name it, whatever it is, Rockcliffe or whatever it is, Amernest Point. The latitude and the longitude, you can get that directly from here. Right, so you can say, let's say Castle Point, for example. I'll just go slightly there. If you double click, if you right click, it'll give you the latitude and longitude there. Okay, so wherever you are, right click, you'll get your latitude and longitude. So you can then put that into your risk assessment. These are the hazards. Who might be harmed? What are you already doing to control the risks? What further action do you need to control the risks? And any comments. Now, I identify 3 risks here. Who might be harmed? What I'm doing to control the risks, and any further action. You might have a list of 10. You might have only 1. It's up to you. This is your risk assessment that you are compiling. You're doing the assessment, so you will assess the dangers, the risks, and you will put in there what you're going to do to alleviate those risks, to nullify them, or to bring them down to the point where they might still be a risk, but it's okay to fly, right? If it's a low level risk, a 1 or a 2, you're allowed to fly. So that's another thing that you don't have to do it. You have to do it if you're flying under Article 16, and I would say it makes sense to do it even if you're flying a mini drone, because in the event that something goes wrong, it's going to be very helpful for you to justify your flight by saying, look, here's my planning, here's how I planned this flight, and here's the risk assessment that I completed. Okay, so if you haven't got a risk assessment, it puts you in a slightly more vulnerable position legally if something goes wrong in your flight. Now, generally, if it's a DJI drone you're flying, we know that they're very, very safe and nothing ever goes wrong. Nothing ever goes wrong. But you never know. You never know when something just might go wrong. So, risk assessment. What else do I do? Peter said, right, let's go through Peter's list. Peter said, check the inventory list of your drone equipment to see if something is missing. If you're going to be using ND filters, if you're going to be using a wide angle filter, if you fancy taking spare props with you and stuff like that, spare batteries, a spare drone, spare controller charged up. Yeah, okay, that's obvious. Okay, download the update states for your trip. No. 3. Peter says, make sure you're allowed to fly in that area, and that's when you would. That's how you would do it. You would use NOTAM, and it's actually notaminfo.com. All right. That's where you would go, and that's how you would, as Peter says, make sure you're allowed to fly in that area. 4, recharge your batteries, obviously. Put everything in your bag the evening before. Not necessarily, Peter. You know, I like to pack the night before. Sometimes if I'm going out in the afternoon, I like to pack in the morning. So, you know, do it whenever you like. Check the weather forecast. Yeah, the best weather app that I have found that I like to use is just the weather.metoffice.gov.uk. The weather.metoffice.gov.uk. I find that you can just type in whatever you want here, whatever your location is, and it will bring you up your days, and then you can go into your days and it will give you a full breakdown. And I found that it's pretty accurate as well. There's a lot more to it. There's lots and lots and lots of information on each page, on each day, okay? So that for me is the best site to use to check your weather. Your mileage may vary. There are other brands available. Right, use whatever one you want. That's the one I like to use. Right, Peter says, make sure you can make emergency calls with your phone, not the one you need for your drone. Not for me, Peter. I don't care. When I go out flying, it's a bit of solitude that I'm looking for, and the last thing I want is, and I get it, is calls and messages and to be bleeping off every 30 seconds on your phone when you're out, you know. So, not for me. It's up to you. Prepare and check your clothes against cold and rain. Aye, come on, we're not 6 years old. We know if we're going outside, we need to wear the right clothes, you know. Nobody's going to go out in November wearing shorts and t-shirt. Well, maybe some auditors would, I don't know. Take along some food and drink. No, Peter, you're not going out for a picnic. You're going out to capture footage on your... No. You're going out there, get your footage, get back in the car, get home, start editing. So, no food and drink. And make sure someone knows where you are if you're going a long distance. No, I don't tell them where I'm going. I just go. It's like, you know, it's nobody's business. I'm going where I'm going. I'm a big boy, right? I don't need to tell my mammy where I'm going when I go. Okay, so that was Peter's 10. I don't have 10. I've just got 4, I think. Well, you've seen what I've got. Right, that was that. So, other than the obvious things, make sure you get enough fuel in your car to get there and back. And I will have enough fuel if people will put a super chat in or buy me a coffee. Otherwise, I might only make it halfway there and halfway back. So make sure you've got enough fuel to get them back. Aye, obviously, you know, make sure your tyres are fully pumped up. Make sure you've got snow chains in case the weather. Come on, right? We're just flying a drone here. We're no climbing the Himalayas. Okay. So let's have a look at some of your comments. I don't want to go too far back. I haven't seen them for a while. Sandwiches, I don't know. A Melton Mowbray pork pie. I'm not going to talk about Melton Mowbray pork pies on a Sunday night on the Windswept Rob live stream. Hi Don, we're diddling fine. No, we're not. We're doing fine. We're doing just fine. Trying to get us in trouble here. Aeroplane Spotter says, would you say it will fly in a 25 mile per hour gust? I think you mean gust. The Mavic 3, as I've had it to drift flying on a hill. If your Mavic 3, Jordan, is drifting in a 25, or drifting flying on a hill, then you need to calibrate your controller and calibrate your drone. Do the compass calibration. And you might as well do the gimbal calibration while you're at it, but you need to do a compass calibration because it shouldn't be drifting at all. When I let go of the sticks on my Mavic 3, it doesn't move. It's rock solid. It doesn't. It won't go anywhere. So how long has it been since you calibrated the controller and calibrated the drone? Have you ever done it? You need to do it. Calibrate the compass. Okay, that's probably what's causing it. 25 mile per hour winds. I'll fly in that all day. I have flown in, and you're talking about gusts. I have flown in 25, 30 mile an hour winds with gusts up to 45, 50 miles per hour, with maybe even, the gusts were maybe even more, maybe up to 65 miles per hour, without the Wallace even caring. It was no problem at all, no issue. Stevie says the top tip for flying over water is don't. Stevie, in every episode, there's only been 3 so far, but in every episode of season 1 of my series, I have flown over water, and not just a puddle. I've been right out into some deep estuaries. I've flown over water too many times to count, and I don't have an issue with it. There's lots of people have said, well, if you fly low over water, the drone down sensors can't understand what's happening and it will crash into the water. I've flown my drone along across Loch Doon at 1 metre above the surface for about a kilometre. I had no issues. I've done it with my Mini 2 and my Mini 3 Pro as well. So these people that have problems flying over water, it seems to me that the problem is with the operator and not with the drone. All right? And I have videos on my channel where I teach you how to fly safely over water, how to fly safely under a bridge over water and things like that. I've never had a mishap in all of the time I've been flying over water, and I've done it hundreds of times. This refresher is appreciated. Also, finding out about the different ways of doing things is welcome. Everybody's probably going to have their own way of doing things, and this is the way that I do it. I'm the type of guy who likes to keep things simple. You know, there's no need to complicate things, Peter. If you don't need to, keep it simple. You know, check your weather, check your drone's tip-top condition, check your no-fly zones, check you've got your risk assessment done if you're flying under Article 16. That's pretty much it. You know, all the rest is superfluous. Don says the no-fly zone is because of the hunt for the weaker Cudbury centipede who started dancing practice but tripped up, couldn't stop and disappeared down the road. Aye, It might be. It might not be though. I wouldn't know if Peter folds his socks. Right? I have on occasion taken a flask of soup or a flask of tea or a flask of coffee, and I've even on occasion made up sandwiches and taken them. But every time I've done that, I've never had a cup from a flask, and I've never had a sandwich for the sandwiches I've made up while I've been out flying, because I'm focused on the footage from the flight, and I tend to end up, when I get back home again, have my sandwiches and my cup of tea or cup of coffee then. Aye, well, look, I'm, gloves, hat, scarf, jacket, trousers, good pair of boots. Peter says, was there no attempt you made, and on occasion you noticed you forgot your SD card? I think I have done that. No, well, I've got about 7 or 8 SD cards, Peter, and I take them all with me. And the thing is, I've got that. Not talking about spares. I've got an SD card in the drone. I've got an SD card in the controller. I've got an SD card in my 360 camera, and I have an SD card in my. I've got another one. What else have I got? In my DJI Pocket 2. So there's 4 SD cards straight away that are in my bag in devices. So even if I forgot to pack my spares and I forgot to put one in the drone, I've got 3 others in other devices that I can stick in for the flight. All right. So I don't think I've ever been stuck out flying without some way of saving the footage. You might be right. I might have done that. I've been making videos for 5 years now on YouTube, so I can't remember them all. And Peter Mannering says, I must get a better watch. Wait, what time does your watch say? Mine says 7:45. Did you forget to put it back? A couple of weeks ago, the clocks went back. You maybe forgot to do that. Right, Aeroplane Sport. Jordan says, I'll go and look as it went sideways in the wind. If it's very unlikely, Jordan, that the wind is capable of blowing a Mavic 3, no matter how strong the wind is, unless you're in Florida in the middle of hurricane season, or Japan in typhoon season, then the likelihood of even a really strong gust of wind blowing the Mavic is I've never seen it, and I've been out I've flown in storms, and I have never seen the Mavic being blown off course. So I would suggest, as I have done, try calibrating everything. Calibrate your compass on your drone, calibrate your controller, and calibrate your gimbal. And if it's still doing it, if it's still getting blown off course, I would check your propellers. All right, make sure that you've got them on properly, and make sure that there aren't any defects in your propellers, because that could cause a few problems as well. Okay. Aye, well, yeah. Okay. Well, the less said about that, the better, all right? That was when I was young and naive 4 years ago. Okay, Eddie, that's a YouTube problem, or it's a you problem. Sometimes people say that the audio and video have gone out of sync, but if you hit refresh on your YouTube, whatever you're watching on, you'll see it's back in sync. So it's either a YouTube issue or a you issue, but it's not anything at my end. All right, happens all the time, but it's not me. There you go. Mickey said it. Mickey the View Moo said it. Refresh. And if I am now back in sync, Eddie, it means it's your end, not mine. There you go. It's sorted. Aye. So, wasn't me. Wasn't my fault, mate. Mini 5 Pro, says Mickey the View Moo, has internal memory now. No need for all these SD cards. Well, but what size is it? Is it? I mean, the Wallace, I think, is 8 gigabytes. I think, I can't remember. I think it's 8 gigabytes internal memory he's got. But I never rely on that. I always take cards because I'm taking a 512 gigabyte card. 8 gigabytes is paltry, especially if I fly in 4K at 60 frames per second, so it uses a lot of data, especially if I'm out filming for typically 40 to 50 minutes of flight and then I edit it down to about 20 minutes. So the internal memory, even on the Mavic 3, wouldn't be enough for me, and I don't know how much it is on yours. Now, Surly Dave says 8 gigs is about 10 minutes flying. Yeah, 4K 60, I don't even know if it's 10 minutes flying, to tell you the truth. And I fly typically for about 50 minutes, sometimes longer, because I've got 3 batteries, and each battery will last approximately 40 minutes. So you're talking, what's that, 120 minutes? That's 3. Is that right? 4 times 3, 120 minutes. So I could be flying for 2 hours. Now I don't, because obviously I don't fly until the batteries are completely depleted. But you're looking at I do an hour of flying and filming every time I go out, at least. So an internal memory isn't just not going to cut it. Aye, Stevie says these days a minimum of 256 gigs on a cards and all. Yeah, I've got 4 of my cards are 256 and 4 of them are 512, because I was finding that, especially with my Insta 360 X4, when I'm recording in 8K, then I need a big card for that, 512 gigabyte card. Surly Dev has 9 batteries and have only nearly filled 128 gigabyte cards. So you must be filming in 1080 then, at 30 frames per second, which is perfectly all right. I film at 4K 60, so that uses an awful lot more. But it's up to you. Everybody's going to do things their own way and whatever suits them best. I'm not trying to tell anyone this is the best way to do it, this is what you should do. All I'm saying is that throughout the past 5 years, I have tried various different options, testing things out. As you know, I've tested everything on the Mini 2 drone, but as well as apps and different areas to get information about flying drones, I've tried them all, and 5 years down the line, the things that I'm showing you tonight are what work best for me. They might not work best for you or for the guy sitting next to you, but they work best for me. And if you haven't tried any of the things that I've spoken about tonight, then give it a bash and see if it changes your life or not. Nah, I don't think so. If you've flown 9 batteries on one card, then it's not a 128 gigabyte card at 4K 30. It's just no. Because one battery on the Mini 5 Pro will get you 35, maybe even 40 minutes. So 9 times that, 9 4 36. That's 6 hours. Something like that. Is it 6? But 6 hours. Nah, you're not going to fit 6 hours of 4K footage onto a 128 gigabyte card. All I'm saying is, check your settings. You might be filming in 1080. Well, okay. So if you're only recording, so what you might be doing is flying in sport mode to your location, right? Using up, let's say, half your battery power, then starting to recording 5 minutes of footage, and then stopping recording and hearing it back, change your battery and do your next bit. Yeah, you might be doing that, but you know, the way you put it is, I've got 9 batteries and I only use a 128 gigabyte card. If you get 9 batteries but you're only filming for 5 minutes out of that 9, out of each of the battery, you know, it's you're not mathing the math properly. YouTube thinks the videos I'm uploading are in 4K. That's, you know, I wouldn't say I love YouTube. I like YouTube. I have to say that. I do like YouTube a lot. It affords me the opportunity to take my creativity and show it to other people. Right, and as a musician, ex-musician who likes to perform, that's a big thing for me, and YouTube allows me to do that. But they compress your 4K footage, and when I watch a video back that I filmed in 4K at 60 frames per second, when I watch it back on YouTube, I'm like, oh, that quality is not anywhere near as good as it is when I watch it played back on my screen, because it's not compressed until I upload it to YouTube, and then they compress it slightly. Not a huge amount, but it does deteriorate the quality slightly. And I get away with it at 4K 60. It still looks crisp and sharp and clear. But if I was to record videos at 1080 30, by the time YouTube has compressed those a little bit, they're going to look really pretty bad, I think. Aye. Right. There you go. So a kind of shorter live stream tonight. I've got 7 minutes left. What I'll do is, instead of just hopping off 7 minutes early, I'll take questions about anything from tonight, about the weather app, about the NOTAM, about the risk assessment, about Google Maps and Google Earth, about what checks you should be doing in your drone, what equipment you should be taking with you and not. If anyone's got questions on those subjects that I either haven't explained it well enough for you to understand, which is my feeling, and you want me to clarify something, I'll take questions on that now. For the next 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and then I'll cut and run. Okay, so Sully Dev, if you want to give somebody else a chance at getting a comment in, that might be good. What video editing tool are you using, you ask? And that is Final Cut Pro. Have you used any other apps to control your drone other than DJI Fly? Yes, I have used Rainbow, Maven, and the other one starts with an S, I think. I can't remember it. And Dronescape, I think it's called. So I've used four other third-party apps to control and fly my drones, and there are videos on my channel showing me doing that as a comparison with DJI's own app that it uses. So yes, I have done 4 different ones. I can't remember what the fourth one's called. Right. Okay, Stevie says, have you already worked out which parts of the coast you might have to miss out due to FRZs? Not yet, Stevie. I wouldn't be missing any part of the coast out at all. What will happen is, if there are FRZs along the coast on the days that I want to fly in, let's say they're permanent, right? And we know there are a few permanent ones, then I won't fly, but I'll walk along with my 360 on its 3 metre selfie stick, and I'll simulate the drone flight that way. Okay, wouldn't be quite the same, but at least that part of the coastline that is restricted from drone flights will still get covered. Okay, that's my idea I have to get around that problem. Right. Okay, I think that's it. If there are no other questions, and I don't think there are, looks like not. Mr. Fish 4 says, I love watching your videos. Looking forward to watching when you do Loose Bay, Mull of Galloway. I use the Avata 2 and I'm just getting the hang of flying manual. What an experience. Yeah, I have a DJI FPV, the daddy of the Avata. And I don't take him out to fly very much because I'm not a fan of manual control. It just doesn't really work for me. And also it's not great for scenic footage. The fixed cameras on it, gimbal cameras are perfect for my type of footage. So although you get a real good buzz out of flying the FPV drones, there's no doubt about it, but not it's not for me. Jordan says, have you tried getting flight planning permission from airport, etc.? I haven't yet, Jordan. I've never had a need to. If there comes a point where I do want to fly where there's a restriction and it's because of an airport, I will attempt to get permission, and if I get it, all well and good. If I don't, then I'll find an alternative way of filming, like I just explained to Stevie. That's a good point there. That is a massive flight restriction all the way along at Prestwick. I'll be contacting Prestwick and the CAA, explaining exactly what I'm doing, and they may offer me a time slot and a very, very limited height and location to do it, or they may say no, you can't. So it will mean that I have, and it's a big 5 kilometres, I think it is. Well, it's 2, but 5 if you couldn't the. Oh, I better wrap up. I know that's going to cause me problems. I have got a plan in mind. Okay. I don't know what that means. I've got plenty of patience. It's the same here. We are busy airport like Glasgow, Prestwick. I'm probably not going to get permission, but I'll give it a bash. And if I don't, I'll look for an alternative. Right? That's a bit further down. Anyway, I'm going to shoot off now because otherwise I'm going to overrun into the Drone Seekers International, and we don't want to get on their bad side, do we? Right, so thanks everybody for tuning. Don't forget, thumbs up, please. If you haven't given me a thumbs up on this live stream, can you do that now? If you would like to give me a super chat, you've still got time to give me a super chat. Right, okay? And thanks for watching. You'll see the video probably Friday or Saturday. Episode 4 will be up, and I'll see you either on Wednesday night on the other channel live stream, or I'll see you back here on Sunday. Cheerio now.